focus-centric on Colorado, and the Colorado fans clearly have an issue with what we were saying. So to kind of backdoor that, we're going to go through the Big 12 title odds, and we're also going to, we'll touch on Colorado and other schools, but
very manic depressant group of individuals.
But this is an interesting list. I mean, it's going to have the most parity. So we're going to start at the top. We're going to go through the first three: Kansas State plus 350, Utah plus 350, and then you have the Kansas Jayhawks, which shout out to Lance Leipold and them getting them into discussion of this, because who would have thought we'd ever see the day? We got them at plus 650.
Ohio State might be calling Lance Leipold at the end of this year.
No, 100%. So what are your thoughts on some of this?
Man, this conference is so much fun, dude. Like, as a college football fan, and as a fan of a team that my entire life has been in this conference, there is a large sense of relief getting out of that conference for more reasons than one. But one that, like, I don't think you're expecting me to say is just the fact that the headache that it was, because there was this level of disrespect since the last realignment when A&M and Missouri left and Nebraska left and all that, Colorado, where it was looked at as kind of a Mickey Mouse conference, no defense, this, that, and the other. But the coaching was always so elite that it sucked so bad to have this national narrative of disrespect when every week was a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. Like every week was a challenge. Now it's going to be fun to watch with my team not involved and just watch the chaos. And as a gambler, this conference is going to be a lot of fun to bet on. A lot of really, really good quarterbacks, great offenses, great coaches, with great personalities, from Joey McGuire to fucking, what's our Oklahoma State guy?
Gundy.
Don't know how I drew a blank. Legend and Gundy, to Dykes, to Leipold. Like you said, you got the combination of personalities to your traditionalist coaches that keep their heads down and grind. It's a fantastic conference. Now, moving forward onto winners, losers, who I think thrives, who I think disappoints. At the top, at plus 350, you got Kansas State and Utah tied with the best odds to win the conference. My pick to win is going to be Kansas State with Avery Johnson. I think it's electric. Yeah. They're starting the Kansas State fans are starting the Avery for Heisman campaigns early. His odds, that's a sharp bet right there if you want to sprinkle some money on an Avery Johnson type. Yeah. This is the conference to bet on those long shot Heisman odds, because the quarterback play is always going to be so electric. The highlights are going to be there with an Avery Johnson. If he's able to go win 11, 12 games, win the Big 12, get in the playoffs, his highlights will look stupid. That's a team that I do think will win the conference. I think that they've already been competing year in, year out. They're established. Their roster is good. Their quarterback play is going to be good. Their head coach is phenomenal. In Klein. Utah will obviously be good. Cam Rising should really go get a real job. I can't say that enough about these guys. But Utah, year in, year out, is going to be a good program. Kansas, like you said, man, that is awesome to see Kansas go from one of the worst programs in the history of college football to having the third best odds to win the Big 12 the first year Texas and OU exit. That is great. A sharp bet, if I'm going to give you one, is going to be Texas Tech at plus 1,000.
Guns up.
Going back to McGuire, it's put up or shut up. Plus 750 at Arizona as well, as good with Noah Fafita. He is a fucking stud.
Yeah, and McMillan, that receiver, McMillan.
They played together in high school.
That dude's going to be a first rounder.
They're both going to be first round draft picks.
They're
very, very good. Yeah. Iowa State with that hard ass coach they have, we'll see.
Campbell.
Oklahoma State at plus 1,200. Bet it. Take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
They somehow find a way to always be there.
They're going to be on the doorstep of the conference championship or in the conference championship. I don't know how, but they'll be there. Shout out to Gundy again. Sorry, I forgot your name.
And they got Ollie Gordon, and they got Bowman, who needs to get a real job too.
UCF, who just transferred to UCF.
So they have a lot of pieces, and this is what UCF has been one of those programs which I was talking about when they joined the Big 12 that was going to create noise, because being in the Power Four.
Didn't KJ Jefferson?
Yeah, he transferred there. Being in the Power Four, and also being a Florida school, you're going to be able to, and also just being a fun school to go to. You're in Orlando, the bounce house of UCF. Like, going to a school like that, you're able to attract not only certain talent in the state of Florida being Power 4, but you also have Gus Malzahn, a great offensive mind. He's going to score points. He's hard to prepare against because of all his gimmicks and tricks and the way he coaches his offense. Yep. But That's what I'm saying.
And he's perfect for that offense.
Yeah.
KJ is
exactly. And they got a ton of running backs.
This is the guy that went to the fucking national championship with Nick Marshall.
Like, I think one game they had 3 running backs over 100 yards. Like they run the ball and they do it in effective ways where they're hitting you for gashing you for 20 yards. They got you on
their heels with the window dressing that throws on there.
So I like them there. And then you got TCU. I think TCU is going to have a huge bounce back year with Sonny Dykes. I think the team, obviously, they went to the Natty. It was kind of unprecedented, the run that they had. But, they kind of, took a step back to reality. But I do think Sonny Dykes can coach. And I do think TCU, another program now in the NIL era, will have them, Tech, Oklahoma State, kind of these, traditional programs that have been in this conference, been around for a while. They're going to try to make their mark on who's going to be the new dominant, who's going to be the new leader. So I'm sure Sonny Dykes and the faithful people in Fort Worth are upping up that NIL, up in that collective to get certain players to boost that roster.
For sure. And he's got a hell of a personality as well. West Virginia, Garrett Green is an electric quarterback at plus
Neil
1900.
Brown. Shout out to Neil Brown. He saved his job.
His ass last year. He was a guaranteed fire coach before conference play.
Yeah.
Shout out to Neil Grant and his electric quarterback that helped him do it.
Yeah.
On to the next one, Colorado.
Plus 4,000.
Pinche Colorado. Sensitive fucking group of fans they got at Colorado at plus 4,000. Here's what I'll say on the odds wise. For every single fucking pigeon in the YouTube mentions up in arms about our objective conversation on Colorado last week, I would say go sprinkle some money on plus 4,000 for Colorado to win the conference and send a screenshot to us here at Opinionated. For every single one of you that hits that bet, if it does hit and Colorado goes on to win the Big 12, I will match whatever bet you put in for them to win the conference and send it to you.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. Double.
You know what? As we're talking about them, bring up Colorado's schedule real quick if you don't mind.
Yep.
We're just going to go through it top to bottom. Because here's the thing. I'm just as big of a primetime fan as the next guy. I grew up adoring him. I played DB. Cam played DB as we grew up playing football. If you grew up playing DB, he is the greatest of all time. He's a top 5 player of all time. Top 3 athlete of all time in my eyes. Salt of the earth. Great man, great father. Brother in Christ, if you will, right? This is no longer about Prime, Shadur, and them. And to them, I'm sorry. This is about me and fucking Colorado fans. I'm going to war with Colorado, and I'm willing to take that on. Let's start at the top. North Dakota State. Give it to them, win, but better show up.
Yeah, that ain't no just wake up out the bed, and it's on a Thursday.
Yeah,
hey, that ain't no wake up out the bed game.
Nebraska week 2, September 7th. This should be a very good game. Loss. I think Matt Rule. That was a game last year that Nebraska let get away from them. Mm-hmm. This is kind of revenge tour 1.0, if you will, for Nebraska, and they got a chance to go stick it to fucking Colorado. After losing that game, and that was a game that Colorado was still on their high horse, if I remember correctly.
After the TCU win.
Coming into that, and I remember Matt Rule had said something that got taken out of context. It was a clipped thing out of his press conference, if I remember correctly, and Shadur and all of them went on their college game they tore, talking shit about it. Turned out to be a very good game. That's bulletin board material. I'm going to go with Nebraska and Matt Rule and that staff to win that game. Colorado State. Colorado better win.
They have to. I mean, they almost lost. I was at a bachelor party, and I was watching this game.
And that's in Boulder this year, right?
No, it's in Fort. They're on the road this year.
Oh, yeah. I thought that game was in Fort Collins last year. Fort Collins, great city, by the way. Yeah. Fort Collins, great city.
Baylor?
Baylor's
had to go up there. I don't know.
When Colorado's going to beat Baylor.
Colorado should beat them, but I wouldn't be surprised they lost that game.
UCF lost.
Going to Florida? Yeah.
Going to Central Florida, KJ Jefferson loss. Kansas State loss, blowout loss. Arizona loss, shootout.
They're on the road. They'll beat Cincinnati.
They're going to beat Cincinnati. They're going to lose to Texas Tech at Lubbock. That's you want to talk about something that's going to be fucking nasty.
It's hard to play there.
The most vitriol, disrespectful, nasty motherfuckers in the world, literally and figuratively, are in Lubbock, Texas, and they live for these games. If Colorado's doing good, and
I hope Tech might be
outside of my
top 15.
petty nature, which is what this is about right now, and I don't give a shit. Clip it, save it, do whatever you want. outside of my petty nature, I want to see this Colorado team succeed. I want to see Deion Shadur and his kids succeed. Quite frankly, I am a fan of primetime. I would hope as a college football fan, that they succeed this year and are competitive at this point. I would love for this game to be a night game in Lubbock and mean something as far as conference standings at the very least. But that game will be electric. I will take Texas Tech in Lubbock. Utah in Boulder. Utah is the easy pick here.
Yeah, I think so too.
I have something in me that just wants to give Colorado a game, but no, loss. Kansas loss at Lawrence.
All right, so
what is that?
That's Oklahoma State last game.
Loss.
Okay.
So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what? 7 losses?
You got them at 5 and 7. So they North Dakota State win. Lost to Nebraska.
Loss.
So the Colorado State win. Baylor win. So they'd be 3-1 at this point. UCF lost 3-2. Kansas State lost. Arizona lost. So they're at 3-5 at this point. They'll beat Cincinnati 4-5. Lose to Tech 4-6. Lose to Utah 4-7. Wait, my math's off somewhere. I think
CTE.
Yeah. Utah lose. So the wins, we're gonna count the wins. Let's just do that. It's easy.
Cam's been hitting the head a lot, but they're not. What's their win total?
Oh, let's check that.
Yeah, pull that up for me.
I think it was at like 4.5 when I last saw.
And by the way, that's not a fucking personal shot at Colorado or Deion Sanders. Those are robots and computers that make these. Okay. So that's getting run through models. Thousands and thousands and thousands of scenarios are fucking put together to come up with these numbers that tend to be very, very accurate, more often than not.
Over 5.5.
They're at 5.5.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the under with my prediction.
I think I'd probably take the under.
I'm predicting 5 wins.
Yeah.
There's a reason. You've turned over your roster. It doesn't look as good as the other rosters. You're riddled with players that programs could not wait to get rid of. And I'm expected to believe that somehow the different culture at Colorado, whatever it is right now, is supposed to turn those kids into what these other programs that win a lot of games couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And then players like Donovan Edwards, right? That's his name?
Dylan Edwards,
who transferred to Kansas State, right?
Yeah. Where he's
one
from.
of your best players, one of your most productive players.
4 touchdowns in that first win against TCU.
Yes, he had his freshman moments. He had his struggles, but like very, very talented kid. Should have been a cornerstone player on that team. Going to the team that I'm predicting to win the conference, using my discernment just as an adult in my experience in life, it doesn't scream conference championship competitors to me.
Yeah.
So those are my Big 12 thoughts. It's going to be very, very exciting and very fun to watch.